Okay, so have you ever had this happen? Like, you're all fired up to learn something new?
Yeah.
Maybe it's, like finally becoming fluent in English or picking up drawing or even training for a marathon.
Oh, yeah.
You can just imagine it, right? Like crossing that finish line or finally holding up your own amazing artwork.
Totally.
But then a couple months in, maybe even just a few weeks, you hit a wall.
Yeah, you're not seeing the progress you hoped for.
Yeah, exactly. And all that excitement, it just kind of fizzles out.
It's a real motivation killer. We've all been there.
So how do you keep going when it feels like you're just not getting anywhere? That's what we're going to unpack today.
It's a great question, and it's surprisingly common. A lot of people struggle with this, and it can apply to pretty much any goal you set for yourself.
Right. So to really get into this, we've been checking out this YouTube video. It's called 7 Strategies to Stay Motivated Even When You Don't See Progress. And it's from the Speak Confident English channel.
Oh, yeah, this got some great stuff.
Yeah, really insightful. So basically, we're going to break down those 7 elusives in this deep dive. Think of it as your cheat sheet to staying on track, even when things get tough.
Love it. So, are you ready to dive in?
Absolutely, and let's do it.
All right, so strategy number 1 is all about remembering your why. That initial spark that got you started in the first place.
Yeah, the video really stresses that, that initial motivation is like gold, and it's so easy to forget about it as you're, slogging through the everyday grind.
Exactly. And the video asks a really important question. Go back to that moment when you decided, okay, I'm doing this. Whether it's learning a new language, taking up a new hobby, whatever. What was driving you?
Right. Like, was it a personal goal, something you always wanted to do just for you?
Or maybe it was tied to, like, your career.
Yeah.
You need to learn this skill to advance or get that promotion.
Oh, yeah. Or even like just the pure enjoyment of it, that curiosity, that desire to explore something new just for the fun of it.
Exactly.
Mm.
And those reasons, those whys, they can be super powerful, but they can also get lost in the shuffle when you're dealing with the daily challenges, like when you're not seeing the progress you want, it's easy to forget why you started in the first place.
Yeah, for sure.
But the video makes a really great point. It says that actively remembering those whys, like taking a moment to really connect with them again, can be a huge boost to your motivation.
Makes sense. It's like recharging your batteries, going back to that source of energy.
Exactly. And they mentioned that this is something that's really resonated with their students in fluency school, so it's not just some abstract idea.
Yeah.
It actually works.
So tap into that initial spark. Got it. What about strategy number 2?
Okay, number 2 is all about taking time to reflect. And this one is all about, like, our impatience, right?
Oh, yeah.
We live in a world of instant gratification, so we expect everything to happen super fast.
We want those results now.
Yeah, right. And the video uses this really cool analogy. They say it's like we plant a seed, for a new skill or habit, and then we're constantly checking it, like every hour, to see if a flower's popped up yet.
Oh, I totally do that. Like, come on, where's the progress?
I know, right? But of course, real growth takes time. It's not always going to be this straight line upwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a flower after an hour, no matter how hard you stare at that seed.
Exactly. And the video makes this crucial point that a lot of the progress, the real growth, is happening underground where we can't see it.
Like roots growing, the foundations being laid.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where reflection comes in. They strongly suggest actually documenting your progress, whether you do it in a journal or you use a habit tracker, something like that.
And I think that's so smart because then when you're feeling discouraged, you can actually look back and see, okay, wait a minute, I have made progress. Look at all these steps I've taken. Even if they felt small at the time, they add up.
Absolutely. And it can be a huge motivation boost. It's like proof that you're moving in the right direction, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment.
I love that. And the Speak Confident English channel, they actually offered a free habit tracker a while back. It was designed for building vocabulary, I think.
It's still available too. We'll put a link in the show notes for you.
Perfect. Okay, so we've got remembering our why, taking time to reflect. What's up next?
Number 3 is all about renewing and reconnecting.
Okay, so 2 parts to this one. Let's start with renew. What's that all about?
So renew is all about finding ways to, like, rekindle that initial passion. Maybe you've been using the same resources, the same methods, and they're starting to feel a bit stale.
So you need to shake things up a bit.
Exactly. It could be as simple as taking a new class or attending a webinar or even just finding a new book or video series on the topic. Maybe discovering a new YouTube channel like, I don't know, Speak Confident English.
Nice plug.
But seriously, it's about injecting some fresh energy into your learning. finding a new angle to approach it from.
Gotcha. So that's renewing. What about reconnecting?
This is all about the power of community. It's about actively engaging with other people who are working towards similar goals. You know, people who get the specific struggles you're facing.
Yeah, finding your tribe.
Exactly. So this could be joining a study group, maybe, or participating in some online forums where people are talking about the same things.
Like those Facebook groups for language learners or for artists or for runners.
Yeah, exactly. Sharing your experiences, both the good and the bad, can be so motivating and can also create this sense of accountability. Like you're all in this together, pushing each other forward.
So you don't feel so alone in those moments of doubt.
Exactly. And it's amazing how much just knowing that someone else gets it can help you push through. Okay, so that was renewing and reconnecting. Number 4 is about reorganizing and redeveloping.
Sounds pretty practical, like how to make things actually work with your real life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, life happens, right? We start out with these grand plans, these perfect schedules, and then things get in the way.
Work, family, that Netflix show you just can't stop watching.
All of that. So reorganizing is about being flexible with your time, your priorities. Maybe you can't dedicate those big blocks of time you initially planned for, but can you find smaller pockets?
Yeah, instead of trying to cram in an hour of practice, maybe it's 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there.
Exactly. The video uses the example of listening to podcasts. Like, instead of trying to listen to an hour-long episode all at once, maybe you break it up into 15-minute chunks throughout the day.
Yeah, bite-sized pieces.
Right, and that way, you're still moving forward, even if it's not at the pace you originally imagined.
Consistency over intensity.
Exactly. And the redevelop part of this strategy is just as important. If what you're doing isn't working, it's time to take a step back and say, okay, what can I tweak? What can I adjust?
So, like, if your study methods aren't giving you the results you want, maybe you need to try something different.
Exactly. Or if your training program isn't helping you reach your fitness goals, maybe it's time to switch things up. Being open to reevaluating your approach is crucial.
Love it. All right, strategy number 5. This one sounds fun.
Yeah, this is a good one. It's all about rewarding yourself.
Okay, tell me more.
So the video emphasizes that it's so important to acknowledge your progress, no matter how small it might seem. They actually say that at Speak Confident English, they see every step forward as a success, and I think that's such a great mindset to have.
I love that. So it's not about waiting until you reach some huge milestone to celebrate.
Right. It's about finding those small wins along the way and acknowledging them. And the video makes a really good point that the type of reward is entirely up to you. It could be something simple, like treating yourself to a nice coffee after a good study session.
Or taking a break to watch a funny video.
Exactly. Or it could be something bigger as you hit those larger goals. The key is to reward yourself for your effort and reinforce those positive habits.
Make it something you really look forward to.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, ready for number 6. This one is a bit of a mind shift.
Oh, intrigued me.
So strategy number 6 is all about redefining your measure of success.
Okay, I'm listening.
This is about challenging those fixed ideas we have what success actually means. The video shares a personal story about how the creator realized that their initial definition of success in a certain area was actually, in their words, totally impossible.
Oh, wow.
Right. And then they give these great examples related to language learning. They talk about how confidence in speaking English isn't about never feeling fear.
Because everyone gets nervous sometimes, right?
Of course. But it's about learning how to manage that fear and keep going anyway. And they also say that fluency doesn't mean never making mistakes. It means being able to communicate your ideas clearly and finding ways to get your point across, even when you stumble over a word or two.
Right, like being able to keep the conversation flowing.
Exactly. It's about focusing on the bigger picture.
So basically, you're shifting your focus from perfection to progress.
Yes. And by redefining success in this way, we get a much more realistic and encouraging view of how we're actually doing.
Which in turn can help boost our motivation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We see that we are making progress, even if it's not always obvious at first glance. Okay, ready for the final strategy.
Hit me with it.
Strategy number 7 is believe that progress is happening, even if you don't see it.
I can already hear some people saying, oh, come on, that's too easy.
I know, right? The video acknowledges that it might sound a bit simplistic, but stick with me. They make this really important point that consistent effort, even if it's just a few minutes each day, will add up over time.
Like, it's not always about these big, intense bursts of effort.
Right. It's about showing up regularly and putting in the work, even when you don't feel like it. They compare it to compound interest. It might seem like nothing is happening at first, but those small, consistent actions build up over time, and eventually, boom, you see the results.
And they also remind us that progress doesn't always follow our timeline.
Exactly. Sometimes it's happening behind the scenes in ways we don't even realize. Like, you might not see a dramatic improvement in your English fluency overnight, but those small vocabulary gains, the grammar rules you're slowly internalizing, those are all adding up.
Yeah, like building a house brick by brick. You don't see the whole structure until you've laid enough bricks.
Exactly. But the video also makes a point of saying that it's not just about blind faith. It's about making sure that your efforts are well directed.
So, like finding good resources, joining those supportive communities we talked about, making sure you're learning in a way that's actually effective.
Right. It's about smart practice, not just any practice. But the key message here is if you're putting in the effort, even if you don't see the results right away, trust that progress is happening.
Love it. Okay, so those are the 7 strategies. Remember your why, take time to reflect, renew and reconnect, reorganize and redevelop, reward yourself, redefine success, and believe that progress is happening, even when you don't see it.
Well summarized.
But now, we really want to hear from you, our listener. What are your go-to strategies for staying motivated when the going gets tough? What works for you?
Yeah, tell us about those moments when you were tempted to give up, but you found a way to push through.
Maybe you have a completely different approach than the ones we discussed today. We'd love to hear about it. And as you're thinking about that, here's a final thought. We've talked a lot about invisible progress today. All those small efforts you're making, the new connections you're forming in your brain, those subtle shifts in your understanding.
It's all adding up, even if you can't see it yet.
Exactly. So, how might that invisible progress be shaping your skills and knowledge in ways you haven't even fully realized yet? Think about that as you continue on your learning journey.
And remember, you've got this.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.